seat. And once again, thank you all so much for being here this morning. My name is Nick Whips, and I'm the Recreation Manager for the City of Caspar, and I have the distinct privilege of getting to oversee Fort Caspar Museum, and as a part of that, the Fort Caspar Museum Association, and they do so many wonderful things to ensure that the historical integrity and the rich history of our community stays alive. So before we get started, I just want to give let's give a huge round of applause to everybody here at Fort Caspar. So we've gathered here at the Lest We Forget Commemorative Cemetery on the grounds of historic Fort Caspar to dedicate 6 newly installed headstones, modest in size, but monumental in meaning. These markers honor 6 soldiers who served our country with bravery during the mid-1860s, 5 from the 6th West Virginia Cavalry, and 1 from the 7th Iowa Cavalry. They died while stationed here at the fort in 1865 and 1866. Their final resting places were lost to the prairie, but today we return something that was missing: a name, a place, and a memory carved in stone. These headstones stand as symbols of respect, restoration, and remembrance, recognizing men whose service should never be forgotten. This project is part of an ongoing effort by the Fort Caspar Museum Association to place a total of 64 headstones on the sacred ground. And today marks a meaningful step forward in that mission. We're honored to have several individuals and groups here today to help us mark this occasion. First, we will hear from Joanna Wickman, Vice President of FCMA, and the dedicated individual leading this project with passion and care. Following Joanna, we are privileged to welcome James A. Hessler, a nationally recognized Civil War historian and Gettysburg expert. Mr. Hessler is the author of Sickles at Gettysburg, co-author of Pickett's Charge at Gettysburg, and co-host of the Battle of Gettysburg podcast. His contributions to Civil War history through writing, speaking, and education are widely respected, and we are grateful for his presence today. Also joining us are members of the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry, reenacting organization who help bring the past to life and ensure we never lose touch with our roots. Their bugler, the Legion's bugler, will close the ceremony with the playing of taps, a timeless tribute. We're also joined by the American Legion and the United Veterans Council, who provide military honors for these 6 long-lost soldiers as we welcome them back into the arms of memory and reverence. This ceremony is open to all and free to the public, but if you want to learn more about this project and the ongoing pursuit of this project, please visit just fortcaspar.org, and if you go to cemetery, you'll be able to be up to date on everything that's going on here. Now it's my honor to introduce Joanna Wickman, Vice President of the Fort Caspar Museum Association.
Move this way down, I'm sure. First of all, thank you all so much for coming to this. As Nick mentioned, this project has been my baby for a few years now. The Lest We Forget Commemorative Cemetery originally began in the 1970s with 11 headstones of the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry. And those are the headstones that you see on the far end there. And I always felt that there should be more. We lost more than 11 soldiers here in the history of the fort. And so I approached Rick, our museum director, and asked if the Fort Caspar Museum Association could finish this project and add a headstone for each one of those soldiers whose remains are lost to the prairie and have no headstones elsewhere. Little did I know how big of a project this would become. You may remember, and I recognize some faces from last year, we held a dedication ceremony for 9 headstones of the 11th Kansas Volunteer Cavalry. Today we're here to honor the 6th West Virginia Cavalry and the 7th Iowa Cavalry. And after this, the project will continue with an additional 38 headstones marking 64 headstones stretching all the way behind me. When it's done, there'll also be a walking path, interpretive signage for each regiment, so that not only is this a place of memory, honor, and reverence for those who died here, but it will also be an exhibit for our guests that come to the fort to learn about each of these regiments. Right now, we're still raising funds for this project. We've just unveiled a new fundraiser where you can buy a brick that will be part of our Path of Remembrance walkway, which will stretch from that turnout right over there all the way up to the cemetery. And you can have that brick engraved with the name of a loved one, a family veteran, anything you'd like. Today is a very fitting day to be here to honor our fallen soldiers. It's both Flag Day and the 250th anniversary of the creation of the U.S. Army. The 6 soldiers that we're honoring today do not have headstones. This is so important. These are their headstones now. Now we can honor them with wreaths across America. Their families, descendants can come and pay their respects. The first regiment I want to speak about is the 6th West Virginia Cavalry. The 6th West Virginia Cavalry is a veteran volunteer regiment. This means that they were formed from the 3rd West Virginia Infantry. So they served 3 years as an infantry unit and then re-enlisted as a cavalry regiment. The 3rd West Virginia Infantry fought at several battles, including the Battle of Cedar Mountain and 2nd Bull Run. Today we're honoring 5 men of that regiment. Among them are 2 brothers and a survivor of Andersonville. Their names are First Sergeant Ephraim C. Ashburn, Corporal Barnett A. Silva, and his brother, Private John A. Silva, Sergeant Thomas J. Stillings, and Sergeant Edgar W. Tarleton. Our 2nd regiment being honored today is the 7th Iowa Cavalry, of which we have 1 headstone. The soldier of the 7th Iowa is Private John A. Harris, who was killed in the same skirmish, the skirmish of Rush Creek, where Private William H. Hartshorn of the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry was killed. And if you look down at the end, you'll see Private Hartshorn has a cemetery, and now Private Harris, or has a headstone, excuse me, and now Private Harris has one as well. I want to thank you all for coming as we honor these 6 fallen soldiers from 1865 and 1866. And I just want to reiterate that this project is made possible by donations, contributions, and the support of our community. And your continued support will help us complete this project. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Joanna. Now we want to welcome James Hessler to the podium.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Very good. All right, thank you. Well, I'm greatly honored to be here this weekend. I want to thank you for the invite and the opportunity to be here. But more importantly, I want to thank all of you for supporting this very worthy project. No matter how you support it, whether you support it financially, with headstones, or just being here to remember and honor the soldiers that we're here to talk about today. Now, you might have noticed I'm not a local guy. I'm coming to you from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, a site that, of course, was immortalized by a major Civil War battle, a battle that no doubt some of these men would have been familiar with. When Abraham Lincoln helped dedicate Gettysburg's National Cemetery in November of 1863, his immortal address included these words: "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here." Now, I can't take credit for writing those words, but they are relevant to what we're here to do this weekend. The sad reality, as you know, the sad reality is that, yes, sometimes as a nation, we do forget what our military does for us. While major battles and campaigns such as Gettysburg are remembered by some, Too many military cemeteries are scattered across this country and sometimes are forgotten by all but a few, except for those who support and care for them. And that's why this cemetery project is so important. I'd echo the words of Joanna, but as Lincoln, to paraphrase Lincoln, you are the living, you are the living who are dedicated to remembering them, if not finishing their work. And you're giving them the permanent remembrance that this country owes them and that they deserve. Now at Gettysburg, Lincoln also spoke of honored dead giving the last full measure of devotion. And certainly these men who died in service, whether it was combat, disease, or accident, certainly they gave their own last full measure of devotion when they died here. And the Civil War veterans who were here, the Civil War veterans who were here did not expect to be here. They thought they signed up to end the War of the Rebellion, and when that happened in spring of 1865, they thought they were going to go home. But of course, our country had a different mission and a different assignment for them. The 6th West Virginia, who we're honoring today, they were ordered to report to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Now, as Sergeant George Holliday of the 6th West Virginia wrote in his classic memoir, On the Plains in '65, quote, "When it became known that we were ordered across the plains to assist in squashing the hostile tribes of Indians instead of being mustered out, the wrath and indignation of some of the older men who had family at home knew no bounds. But with many of us younger boys, the news was received with demonstrations of joy, visions of scouts, wild ponies, buffaloes, and even a little love among the little squaws got the enthusiasm of the younger guys." Now I should point out those are Holliday's words, not mine. But I use that last passage because, again, it's a reminder that these were young men, like many young men of every other generation that went off to war and had thoughts of similar young men. Holliday thought that fighting Indians would be child's play compared with the stern realities of the war we had just passed through against the Confederates. But of course, the enthusiasm of the young soon turned into the realities of frontier life. In fact, the first member of the 6th West Virginia that Holliday wrote about, who lost his life, was a sergeant killed by Indians who was shot and scalped because he was intentionally straggling behind to hunt antelope. So clearly it took them a little while to acclimate to life on the plains. But after that incident, Holliday assured his readers that the men were much more vigilant in staying close to the regiment. Eventually, they did acclimate to life on the plains, fighting Native Americans, hunting buffalo, and experiencing your uniquely cold winters. But the 6th West Virginia Cavalry was mustered out at Fort Leavenworth on May 22nd, 1866, about 1 year after the close of the Civil War that they thought they were signing up to fight. And the 7th Iowa Regiment followed when they were mustered out on June 22nd, 1866. Most of the men of the regiments went home and got on with their lives, but they left some of their comrades behind, and that's who we're here to honor. The men of these regiments, all of these regiments, now are going to be hopefully memorialized here at Fort Caspar for eternity. So I'll say again, your work here helps us to remember their lives. Yes, to honor them, but to remember their lives and hopefully remember and tell their stories, and to help prevent our nation from forgetting what they did here. So I look forward to speaking with you in more detail this evening about the 6th Michigan Cavalry, who we are also here to honor this weekend. But once again, I just want to thank all of you for the invite and thank all of you for coming out and supporting this project. Thank you very much.
I would like to now enact the presentation military honors, the flag folding, and then the playing of taps.
Honor detail. we, the members of Fort Caspar, members of the Patriot Guard Riders, and members of the Winona County United Veterans Council, are here assembled to pay a tribute of lasting respect to our departed comrades. When the call of our country was heard, our comrades answered. Self was forgotten in the cause of the greater good. As brave men, they marched away with an abiding faith in their God, their country, and their flag. The red of our country's flag was made redder by their heroism. The white more stainlessly pure by the motive which upheld them. And in the starry field of our nation's banner, the blue has been glorified by the service they've given for American ideals. The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. O God, Father of us all, we here extend these final earthly tributes to our beloved comrades. Accept our prayers in behalf of the servants departed. Prayers of a grateful nation for our departed comrades, who answered the blare of the bugles, the ruffle of the drums, and whose glory will never fade. Welcome them to thy house to rest in peace. Look with mercy upon the loved ones bereaved by their passing. Comfort and console them through thine own tenderness. These things we ask humbly in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Firing detail. At this time, I would like to caution you there will be 3 rifle balls. And I would like to request that any individual who has ever worn the uniform of the Armed Forces of the United States of America to please stand and help us honor our departed comrades while we do the firing detail and taps. And it is permissible to render the hand salute even though you're not in uniform. And salute! This banner of love and devotion now being folded is a living memorial of the courageous thoughts of our comrades, the ones who came here to honor this day. The blue field represents the sky that overlooks our land and denotes the watchfulness of God the Eternal. The red stripes tell us of the blood, sweat, and tears that have been offered and conquered by our comrades' devotion to the responsible freedom of their country. This is their flag. This is our spiritual heritage, received with the tears of our mind and the faith of our hearts. Detail post.
I want to thank you all again for coming today, and please hang out at the fort, enjoy the museum, and any questions you might have, we're here. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.